Guys, it is time to go over a quad workout that I did the other day at Balmain Fitness and just go over some of the tips and tricks that I like to use to develop my quads and some of the areas that I'm focusing on at the moment. So what I like to do with quads, I'm not the best squatter in the world, so I like to superset squats with the leg press. It's a very tough exercise or superset to do. It's something I learned from Justin Wessels when I trained with him. If you ever train with Justin, you know that he really pushes the intensity high, and I learn a lot from him over the years. And also I'm using bands because with my squat I have a tendency for my knees to come in, so I'm looking to try and push out against those bands and activate more glutes while I'm doing leg presses and squats. That's something that's really helped, because I started to develop a bit of hip pain because my quads are quite dominant and my glutes tend not to do too much work. So this is something I've added to my training recently, and it's helped a lot. This is actually the first session where I used the bands properly throughout the whole session, but definitely noticed the difference. I was a lot more stable, and my hip and glute strength is definitely improving as well, which is an area that I'm focusing on this off season. So just warming up here. I normally start with one plate aside on the squat and build up on the leg press as well. So I go one plate, then to 1.5, and then 2 plates, and then 2.5 plates is normally where it starts to get a little bit tough for me. This is where you'll start to see my form sort of fall away a little bit, sort of thing, in my knees, and I'm not as stable as what I should be. So this is just getting up to a good weight here. So the reason also I like to superset with leg presses, because squats, because I'm not stable through the hips, I can't generate a lot of tension through the quads and really fatigue them just from squats. So that's why I like to throw in the leg press as well, make sure that those quads are working really hard. So again, moving up in weight and just progressively moving up with the loads, and trying to keep the reps pretty high as well, but mainly just to positive failure for most sets. So aiming between 10 to 15 reps. Any more than 15 is probably too light, and anything under 10 is probably getting a little bit too heavy. But sometimes maybe as low as 8 on the leg press. But for the squats, I normally just stick to 6 to 8 reps, as I'm not really going to failure with them. I'm mainly concentrating on form and where lifting weight from, because if I go to try to go to failure, it becomes a really bad exercise. So here's my heaviest lift for today. 3 plates, nothing really impressive with the weight. I really want to improve this, and you'll see that my left glute is the one that's the problem. So it doesn't like to do any work when the weight gets heavy, and the right side will try and take over all of the loads. So that's something that I'm going to be working really hard and trying to. I've neglected squats in the past. It was never a great quad builder for me, but now it's time. I really want to put on a lot of size, so squats is going to have to be in my routine week in, week out. Alright, so moving on, and this is one of my last heavy sets on the leg press. So getting pretty heavy now, and the quads I'm really trying to smash the quads with this one and just try and get as many reps as I can with good form. One thing with the leg press, you're not going to get a great range of motion. I used to believe that depth was important on the leg press, as most people do, but really it's just going to get you into trouble and hurt your hips in the long run. So you only come down as far as your hips allow, and as long as they're not, you want to keep your butt on the pad the whole time, and never have any sort of rounding of the lower back when you're doing heavy leg presses. So once I'm done maxing out on my squat or failing on my squat, I lower the weight back down and go for another set where there's a few more reps, just to keep working on the form once I'm fatigued, and just try and get as much work done from the hips and glutes as I can with this exercise. Once again, using a weight that is a lot safer for me at this stage of my workout. So back to the leg press for the last superset, and I probably took a little bit of a longer break here and really wanted to max out on this with this heavy weight, and just trying to pump out as many reps as I can with good form, and making sure always to keep the hips and the glutes glued to the pad. I pull with my arms, I'm pulling down into the machine, so as long as I've got a good grip there, I should be able to keep pulling my hips down, and so there's no movement through there, and all I need to concentrate then on is moving the weight. So then after that, it's just one more set on the leg press, just a little bit higher reps, just to really try and fatigue them as much as I can, because I'm not really doing this is the bulk of my workout, so I really want to tax this as much as I can. So even now that I'm quite fatigued by this stage, I still maintain optimal form, and that's going to reduce injuries over the long term, because I've had a few aches and pains over the years from doing things incorrectly. So I definitely I don't like to go outside of good form these days, as getting a little bit older now, so it's not the best on the joints. So that's one thing I've definitely learned over the years, is keep that form nice, and it makes a big difference in the long run. So then just using the old Tom Platt's philosophy of you've always got 5 more reps. So when I think I'm done, I try and think of old Tom Platt screaming at you saying you've got 5 more. So here's me trying to bust out 5 more. So then after that, it's on to the hack squat. So this hack squat at Balmain Fitness is a unique one, because it has an adjustable height. So what I like to do is I first have the height up high, so it's at 55 degrees, and then I lower it for my last few sets. So this first set, the machine's set at 55 degrees, and that's going to give me more tension at the bottom range of the motion. So when my quads are stretched, that's when it's going to be hardest. So what I'm concentrating on here is getting as much knee flexion as I can without any aches and pains. So that's going to depend on how flexible your ankles are, and how stable you can keep yourself throughout this movement, and that's what you're looking to do with this exercise, is be nice and still at the bottom, so you're using muscle rather than just bouncing the weight up. So just going a little bit heavier here. This is probably my last set on the hack squat, and that last rep, the one that I'm looking for, is that really hard rep where it doesn't look like I'm going to get it, so which is probably that one right there. Alright, so now just moving the hack squat down. So now this was about 45 degrees, or maybe even lower. I think maybe took it down to 40 degrees. So it's just going to hit the quads a little bit different. You can get a little bit deeper, so there's not as much tension at the bottom. It seems it's more through the middle as you sort of lower the platform down. So just a different angle, and just trying to really grind away on the squats, on the quads as much as possible here. And there it is, that last rep, that really hard rep, that's the one we're looking for. So then on to a single leg sled press. Just mainly focusing on knee extension and flexion here, so trying to keep it as stable as possible and get the knee tracking over the toe as much as possible while under control, while keeping that foot firmly on the platform. So this will really help my squats out of the bottom of the range of motion, and build up the quads around the knee is what I'm looking to try and do here. So I sometimes use my other foot to assist, and just assist on the positive and just get a few more negatives, just to really try and smash the muscle. So then just to finish, onto some good old leg extensions, and basically here just trying to grind out as many reps as I can. So that's my WOD workout wrapped up. Hopefully more videos to come, and more tips and tricks. If you've got any comments or feedback, leave them in the comment section below. But otherwise, if you like the channel, please subscribe and like the video as well, and catch you guys again soon for another workout.